Welcome into the Hustle Podcast, simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, powered by WagerTalk and brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Viva Tequila Seltzer. Our flavors pair perfectly with our artisanal Blanco tequila for subtle and refreshing drinks. Viva, coming to a store near you. I am joined by CT Bets and Adam Trigger, my co-host. We got Kelly in Vegas and Kai from the Three-Man Weave joining us in just a few. Kicking it around here before we get to the games. CT Bets always bringing the heat from Boston, Massachusetts. CT, welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, Drew. We fell a little bit short of our best bet to go 8-4 with Penn State there. I should have known better because I know James Franklin is brain dead. I said that on the show last week, and stupid me, I still thought they'd get the job done. They fall a little bit short, but if you follow me on Twitter at CTBets16, I went 5-0 on Sunday in the circuit contest. So I got myself in a pretty good position right now. The Walrus is my partner in that. And right back at it this week, Drew Martin Bets.
Right back at it, bounce back form. Sports bettors out there know just what we're talking about. Our next co-host here, Adam Trigger. First off, guys, thanks for joining us in the chat live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. We do have an over-under of Viva's drinking for Adam Trigger on this show set at 2 flat. Feel free to get in your bets within the next 60 seconds. Betting over or under 2 Viva's drinking during the show. Adam Trigger, welcome in, buddy. How you feeling?
I feel good, Drew. I'll tell you what, I went way over on Viva's drink on Sunday at the Patriots game with CT Bets because we were drinking them at about 9 a.m. right up until kickoff. But that was fun. Cashed a ticket there. We all took the Patriots. Not the best weekend. Won in NFL, lost in college football. But you know, we're continuing to grind on. Hopefully, we can get college football pointing in the right direction. I'm literally 500 on the year in college football on the dot. So I'd like to get that in the plus. But NFL keeps rolling, and we'll see if we can keep it going this weekend.
Absolutely. We will see that. And guys, we got the recap section coming up first, but Viva is launching in Boston, Massachusetts next week, guys. So it's actually coming to fruition here. Sponsor of the show, always doing good stuff. This stuff is good, guys. 0 sugar, and it tastes good. I really recommend it personally. Had a couple last night. We got week 12 college football, week 11 NFL. It is a little bit sad, but a reminder to check out the merch store, the Hustle Show Pod on Twitter. The link is right there. We got a lot of good merch. One of them being this t-shirt, the hoodie by Adam and CT Bets. So make sure to go check it out. The Walrus, Wally's Corner, it is all up there, guys. But we do have time now for the recap segment before we get into the big games of the week. So Trigger, I'll throw it over to you, man. What do we got for recap?
Yeah, so a little bit down last week, but still, some good stuff out of last week's show. Best bets went 2 and 3, but our guest Brad Powers hit his best bet with Boston College, and Kelly came through with Vikings as a best bet winner. I fell short by a point with NC State. Drew fell short by a field goal with South Carolina, and CT with Penn State. I mean, again, those 3 losses all by like a field goal, and Penn State was right there till the end. So tough luck right there on the best bets. For the first time all year, we really tanked the big game breakdown section. We all lost in that, and I gave out a college basketball pick that I think lost by 100. Detroit got absolutely murdered by Wyoming. It was never close. But if you've been following us since the first show of the year, my best college future best bet came in over the weekend. Ole Miss got the outright win over Texas A&M, which gives them 8 wins on the year, which cashes our season win total over 7.5. And I saved the best for last because we did have some good stuff out of last week's show. Kelly Stewart stays red hot with her sharp card. She went 5-0 last week and followed it up with 2 weeks ago, 5-0. Followed it up with 4-1 last week. Ohio State -20 win. Florida State on the money line gets it done. Georgia Southern +2.5. Baylor +6. And the lone loss there was Colorado State. And then Wally's Corner, a couple that really fell close to the number. I was tough on him earlier in the year, so I'm going to give him a win with Minnesota because at the time of this show, it was 5.5 everywhere. And Minnesota landed 5 against Iowa. And Arizona State, I'm going to give him a push because he reported they took -4 up to -5. There was some 5.5s, but there was still quite a few 5s. So we're going to give him a win with Minnesota, a push on Arizona State, and then he hit with the Saints, he lost with the Chargers, and he hit with the 49ers, which means Wally's Corner went 3-1-1, and the Walrus is now 45, 29, and 3 on the year. He keeps killing it. Can't wait to see what he has later in the show.
Wally's Corner. We got guest spot Kelly in Vegas, and big game breakdown right now before we get to the guests. Wake Forest Clemson is my game, guys. It's kicking us off on Saturday in the ACC. We get 56.5 being the total. Clemson -4 at home. This is one I actually bet off the open, guys. Wake Forest +3.5. You can get a better number than I got at the open right now. And really, I'm just not wanting to step in front of Wake Forest. I think we get the better quarterback, a really well-coached, mature team. We've seen what this offense has done week in, week out. I know Clemson plays good defense, but that offense not all that great, and having trouble at the quarterback position, and now some possible knee injuries there for the quarterback DJ. So +4 with Wake Forest. For my big game breakdown, that's the way I'm betting that one. Wake Forest also sprinkled a little bit there on the money line. Big game breakdown going down in order here with CT Bets up next, buddy.
Yeah, Drew Martin Betts. I'm going to the Big 12, a conference that I know very well. Kelly and I being alum in the Big 12. That's a conference we hone in on every single year. We watch about every single game. I'm going to Iowa State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma was finally exposed last week. Baylor finally exposed this OU team. It was a long time overdue. They are just not the OU that we were used to seeing year in, year out. They were taken out of all possibilities of getting into the Final Four with that Baylor loss. They can still get into the Big 12 championship. And Drew Martin Betts, there's nothing more than Matt Campbell would like to do to squash all hopes of getting into that Big 12 championship. KU had this OU team 10-0 at halftime a couple weeks ago. Scoreless. Should have actually won the game if KU's program wasn't completely brain dead like James Franklin and Penn State. They would have actually won the game. KU actually beat Texas last week. Complete insanity going on in the Big 12. This Iowa State team has been very underachieving this year. There were high hopes for this team. They returned everybody. I expect them to get back on track this week. They had a very disappointing loss to Texas Tech last week. They came all the way back, missed a field goal at the end of the game. I think Purdy and Breece Hall and Matt Campbell will be ready to go, ruin Oklahoma's chances. There's a rumor going around that Lane Kiffin might be off to LSU. Who knows? I like them to take care of business, +4 and sprinkle a little bit on the money line. Iowa State over OU at noon on Saturday.
Iowa State from our Big 12 insider here, CT Bets, Kelly in Vegas as well. We got Adam Trigger, big game rundown, buddy.
Yeah, so this is a big game because it goes off at the top of the hour. I'm going back to the MAC conference. I missed in this conference on the show last week, but I hit my MAC best bet with Miami of Ohio blowing Buffalo out. And this week, I'm going to come back with the Buffalo Bulls. This is my best bet up at WagerTalk. It's a 4% play, so don't buy it. And if you did, just DM me, and I'll make sure that you get a credit for it. But anyway, Buffalo, +1.5. I think the pendulum has swung too far in the other direction on this Buffalo team. They've been a fade for me this year because for the first 2.5 months of the season, they were getting treated like last year's Buffalo team, which finished, ranked in the AP top 25. Now they've had back-to-back performances where they were pretty much awful, lost to Bowling Green, and then they get killed last week by Miami of Ohio. And all of a sudden, they're an underdog at home, and I think that's incorrect. Northern Illinois is 7-3. This team has won every close game they've played in. No joke, they've had 4 games come down to the final play of the game, and they've been on the right side of that play. But their offensive line is their strength. Buffalo has a great pass rush. I really just think Buffalo is getting disrespected here. I don't think they should be an underdog. I think they should be favored. And if they win their final 2 games, they will get to a bowl game. So that's important. Give me Buffalo +1.5. But I think they're going to have no problem in Northern Illinois on their home field here.
Lance Leopold lists Buffalo Bulls at home where they have been tough. So I like it, Trig. Good stuff in the MAC. It is time for the guest spot. Presented by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Viva, a refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer with 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 4.5% ABV. Viva, the perfect drink for your post-game celebrations, as it was created with the active lifestyle in mind. Keep in mind, guys, coming to Boston, Massachusetts next week. This stuff is good, but without further ado, our guest for the show, Kai McKeon, co-founder of Three Man Weave, featured on Field of 68 and the Action Network. Kai, thanks for taking the time. Welcome in.
Yeah, Drew, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. And guys, you can follow him on Twitter. You see his Twitter handle below. See a lot of your content. You guys know your college basketball. Maybe just a little background on the Three Man Weave and how you really got into this.
Yeah, two of my buddies, one I've known my entire life, another guy I met in college at Mizzou. It's been like 10 years now since I met him in college. Kind of crazy. We've always kind of talked about college basketball and decided to make a website. You don't really see any places out there that do previews in depth on every single team. You know, you have places like ESPN do the big dogs, but no one really touches the mid majors and low majors. And that's what we kind of wanted to bring to the space and really get into the nitty gritty on those squads. So that was kind of our goal setting out. About 3 to 4 years later, we started really getting involved in gambling, sports betting. And it's kind of just taken off from there. We've been lucky to get some good breaks and meet some really cool people. But that's kind of the long and short of it for how we got started.
Cool. I like the story and how you started with like college basketball as your love for it, and then gambling came later. That almost is like a good mix instead of gambling first and then, hey, kind of rolling into college basketball a little bit. But talking about Missouri, are you like a fan of college football and college basketball as well, or are you just honing in on college basketball?
Yeah, sports betting wise, very much honing in college basketball. I'd love to dip my toe into college football. Eventually getting there slowly, but I know basketball much better. Obviously, a huge Mizzou football fan. That kind of sucks this year, and really every single year since I've been out of college. It's not going too great in the college basketball space either for Mizzou. But yeah, of course, I tune into the Tigers every Saturday.
Sure. And for maybe sports bettors out there, do you have that kind of like want to learn more about it, and you any advice you would give them in terms of what you've had success with betting college basketball? Are there certain things you like to look for?
Yeah, the process of actually forming power ratings was huge, and I credit Alan Boston. He kind of got us started with that process. Really taught us a lot about sports betting in general. Taught us how to make power ratings. Taught us do's and don'ts. And once you get those power ratings kind of set up and know how to adjust and know team histories inside and out, then it becomes a lot easier. And for football, that's kind of how I'm going to start approaching it once I get into there. It's very tough to break in initially. It takes, I think, several seasons to kind of get acclimated to the teams and know them inside and out. That's crucial to winning.
Okay, and something I like to ask people that are specializing in sports is, how do you intake the actual content? So at nighttime or during the day, if you're watching our replay, are you watching these games on multiple screens, or are you more of like a data analytics guy? How do you go about taking in what's going on with college basketball?
Yeah, I watch as many games as possible, but I'm married. I do like to do other things. It's impossible to watch all of them. There's too many teams. So I'll try to catch a bunch. I'll watch bits and pieces of games throughout the night, on my computer or a second screen or a TV if it's. But I'm not trying to watch every single second of college basketball. And then, of course, on top of that, we do the box score analysis afterwards for every game. Important, seeing who was out, who did well. It's kind of a two-way process with that.
Okay, and I know Adam Trigger had a couple questions for you. So Adam, take it away, buddy.
Yeah, so Kai, good to talk to you. I'm in a much better mood now than I was last night when I was texting you from the Siena game and they were down 30 to Yale. But yeah. I want to go back to the previews on your website, and it's a good segue because I know Siena was kind of a team that you were looking to do something this year. They haven't yet, but just talk about, you guys do so much. You put so much awesome info up that sits up there all season. You clearly work all summer on these previews. So what I want to know is, we're about 10 days into the season here, and I want to know what teams you see that are sort of have fit what you thought they were going to be, and others where we're 10 days in and maybe you were high on that team and you say, wow, I have to totally sort of pump the brakes or readjust my view on this team?
Yeah, teams I think we've got right, at least so far. Two from the Colonial specifically, who I have futures on in that particular league. James Madison and Charleston. JMU lost their best player from last year. He was the CAA Player of the Year, Matt Lewis. So I think a lot of people assumed they were going to fall off. And I didn't think that was going to be the case. They bring in a transfer from Seton Hall, still an excellent coach in Mark Byington. They've gotten off to a 2-0 start against the spread, been on them both games. Love James Madison this year. And then Charleston, their new coach, Pat Kelsey from Winthrop, I actually thought was an upgrade over Earl Grant, who has the Boston College job. Kind of interesting for a guy to leave for a Power 6 job, and the guy replacing him is better, at least in my eyes. And he brought in a ton of transfer talent. Charleston's off to a 3-1 start against the spread. Should be 4-0, but Loyola Maryland snuck in the back door in one of those games. But those two teams, I think we've nailed so far. The bigger leagues, BYU is a team I'm looking at that we thought was a top 20 team going into the season. And then Seton Hall, a team we were high on that didn't seem like a lot of publications were giving much credit to.
Yeah, no, I mean, BYU, both of them. BYU blows Oregon out of the water, and then Seton Hall comes through last night with a big win. What about on the other side? Any teams that you guys were high on that, after 10 days, you're like, wow, I need to totally change my view of this team?
Yeah, probably an obvious one right off the bat is Virginia. I still think they can be decent. Tony Bennett has a high floor, but the roster is truly awful. I need to admit that. Scoring seems to be next to impossible for this team, especially against Houston, which makes it even worse because they're incredible on the defensive end. They've had some bad luck shooting-wise. Navy hit 11 threes against them. Houston hit 11 threes. That's not how it's going to go every single night. College basketball, there's always crazy shooting variance. But Virginia's a team I'm not looking to bet quite as much in the next couple of games. I think there's going to be value on them in ACC play, and if they're ever a dog again. But right now, I'm gonna be cautious with Virginia.
Nice. So you mentioned futures earlier. We like to talk about futures on this show. I'm going to give my man down here in the right-hand corner a compliment, CT Betts, because he was giving out Baylor Bears last year from the beginning of the season, and I've never seen someone press a future like that man pressed the Baylor Bears. I mean, it was just, I think you took more on Baylor at multiple points and then bet them +5 in the championship game. So he got home with Baylor Bears. We're early in the season, so you can really bet NCAA futures at any time. Are there any, I'm curious to see if you've got a team to win it all that you really like and expect to be there at the end. And then if you have one that's just sort of like a value dark horse at a really good price.
Yeah, for sure. So first off, I do think it's Gonzaga's year. I think Mark Few finally gets it done and they win. We saw them dominate Texas. They're just a head and shoulders above everybody, I think. But at 5-1, 6-1, whatever it is right now, I'm not sure it's totally worth it. Kansas is probably one of the best values in the board. I think they're the second best team in the country. They're priced more so as they have the tied fourth, I think, shortest odds in the country, 14-1. There's value there, in my opinion. Same can be said for Purdue at a similar price. A little longer odds. Oregon and Houston are both sitting there at 35-1. I think Oregon's going to be a much better team in March. That might be one you can wait on, given the BYU loss, given the fact that they might take a little bit more time to get going with the new pieces they have there. But I think Dana Altman's going to have them playing really good in March. And then Tennessee is probably my favorite longer shot on the board at 40-1. They could be a top 10 team right now. Way too much athleticism to be priced at 40-1. Rick Barnes, kind of shaky, I guess, as a coach in March, but that's a team I think that could get there to the Final Four, set up some nice hedging opportunities, and even win it all.
That's awesome. I'm gonna throw it back to Drew in a second here, but we like to answer mailbag questions from our viewers on this show. I know you're ready to talk about any game at any time. We had a question for tonight about Florida State Tulane. Do you have any opinion on that game?
Yeah, I leaned Tulane when it was at 17. I think it's come down a little bit. I don't know the latest odds on it. I hesitate a little bit to bet against Florida State because they're one of those teams that can get away from anybody with the pace they play at, their ability to get out in transition, and they're always like the biggest team in college basketball. So I would tread lightly if you're going to bet on Tulane, but that's the way I leaned closer to the opening price.
Great. Drew, do you have anything else?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, what about games just tonight? St. John's, Indiana, -5, the Hoosiers, 151 being the total. What UC Davis, Pepperdine? I know you mentioned not only, the Power Five conferences here, Kai. Anything else kind of jumping off the board at you tonight?
UC Davis. I love that bet.
Okay.
It opened as a dog to Pepperdine. I don't know if it's pick or their favorite now, but opening as a dog was ridiculous to me. Just looking at the results, they beat Utah State, they crushed Eastern Washington, and Pepperdine got smoked by Rice, beaten by Utah Valley. They're awful. I don't think Romar knows what to do without Colby Ross. He's their all-time great point guard. He graduated this offseason. They're in shambles. So UC Davis is probably my best bet of the night.
Sure, and there's a great college basketball show on WagerTalk YouTube, hosted by Joe Ranieri, and this is a game that they broke down. We broke down Michigan State Butler, 131.5 being the total. Sparty -3 is the road favorite. What do we like here with Michigan State this season after last season, the worst season under head coach Izzo? Are you looking for them to kind of bounce back this season, or do you think Butler's the play?
Yeah, I think Michigan State bounces back. I think you're already kind of seeing that. Tyson Walker is a nice upgrade at point guard. And 3 seems a little bit short to me. Butler gets their point guard back, Aaron Thompson. So any context you've had on Butler going into this game probably needs to be thrown out because they are totally lost without Thompson in the lineup. So this might feel very, very small, but at Hinkle Fieldhouse, a place that has a great home court, great atmosphere, it's not a guarantee. I think Michigan State covers 3 points.
I like it. Yeah, we're looking for that change. And Kai, what about betting college basketball totals? Are you more of a side guy? You like totals, kind of the whole board? What do you get into?
Yeah, more of a sides guy, but I do dabble in totals every now and then. I feel more confident in sides. It just feels more natural. I don't know why. I haven't quite gotten as comfortable with totals, but certainly when the opportunity presents itself. Yesterday, North Carolina Charleston was my strongest bet of the day. They're over in that game. So yeah, every now and then those will come up.
Okay, and what about teams that didn't play last season? Like the Ivy League, maybe a couple others. How are you looking to bet those teams early in the season?
I was looking to fade them starting off, but I'll be honest, they've done pretty well. Especially, and this is a theme for the entire low major conferences, the SWAC, the MEAC, the Southland. I think they're somewhere around 49-22 against the spread total, those conferences. Something like a 69% win rate. And it's been nuts and totally goes against a trend we've seen normally starting out the year where big favorites tend to blow these teams out and cover all the time. So it surprised me. And the Ivy's gotten off to a good start. They're all really well coached and they play smart basketball, obviously. So it's not as surprising. Sure. But certain teams like Bethune-Cookman, like Maryland Eastern Shore, those teams have gotten off to way better starts than I expected after having a year off of college basketball.
Okay, and being an SEC graduate, what do you think of Auburn? Who do you think wins the SEC? I know you said something there about Tennessee, and what about your Missouri Tigers, man?
My Missouri Tigers are finishing in the basement. Okay. I think Georgia's about the only team that's worse than them, unfortunately. But yeah, Kentucky is the pick, I think, in the SEC still. I certainly love Tennessee's future value. I think they could win the league, but I think it's still Kentucky's. I think they're the best team. Alabama's right there. It's a really good league. It's one of the stronger SECs we've seen, and that trend has kind of been going up the last few years. The ACC's been down, SEC's been up. Just a ton of good teams, ton of good coaches in that league.
Sure. And why do you think that is? Just the money behind it for recruiting? I mean, the arenas they're popping up are really nice, or is there something else behind it?
Yeah, it's got to be partially money-based, I'd assume. Kentucky's always been Kentucky, but these other teams like Alabama becoming a basketball power is certainly something. I'm sure it's money driven. They can probably offer way more, and all the facilities there are just so nice. Unfortunately, once again, my Mizzou Tigers haven't quite figured it out yet. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday. We got his stillness saying, Kai, website address, please. Asking for your address.
Man. Yeah. So it's 3 spelled out, THREE -man-weave.com. It's a terrible URL, but that's what it is.
Okay. And what's the best place that people can find you? I guess Twitter, your website. What else you got going on, man?
Yeah. Twitter is the best place for us. 3, the number 3, MW_CBB is our main handle. We have an almost daily show with Field of 68. It's a betting show. Comes on at noon Central almost every single day during the week, 10:15 Central on weekends. We do a weekly podcast of our own on Apple iTunes. Do a weekly podcast with Action Network. Write a ton for Action Network. But you can find everything at our Twitter handle, 3MW_CBB.
Okay, cool. Well, we appreciate you joining us. And can you leave us with a best bet for the listeners?
Yeah, so I gave UC Davis. I think that's still a good bet, but I'll give you one more. Same conference. UC Riverside is a team that I'm looking to bet tonight. Catching 3.5, I think, against San Diego. I think a certain group out there gave out San Diego, so I'm going against the grain on this one. Riverside's a lot better. I think people are on San Diego because there's an injury for Riverside. One of their starters out. I don't think he matters as much as people think. They're very, very deep. It's more of a system-based team anyways. Under Mike McPayo, he's kind of like a Tony Bennett, Randy Bennett type of guy. Doesn't matter what players are there. Team's going to play tough, physical. So Riverside +3, +3.5, whatever it's at right now. That's a strong bet in my opinion.
The Highlanders +3. I like it, Kai. Thanks for joining us, man. From Adam and CT and myself. Best of luck this season in college basketball, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, huge shout out to the 3-man weave. That is Kai. Guys, we do have the Kelly in Vegas segment, and also remember, we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Viva Tequila Seltzer going live in Boston, Massachusetts next week. We flavor our tequila seltzers because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with a kick, just as we like to live our lives. I know somebody that likes to live her life in the fast lane, going all over this world, catching different NFL, college football games. Kelly Stewart on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. Kelly, welcome in. How are you?
Hey, doing well, guys. It's been a fun football season. I can say that much.
Yeah, absolutely, Kelly. I got to start you off with, how was Pittsburgh? It looked kind of cold, but it looked like you were with a pretty good crew there.
You know, I was with some of the other owners of WagerTalk and our good friend Bobby the Bookie. I had a great time outside of Pitt, tying with the Detroit Lions and knocking me out of Survivor. I know CT Betts was on that one as well. It was really tough, not exactly enjoyable. Club level, Heinz Field was amazing. That was what saved me a little bit because I was cold. It was wet. And Mason Rudolph was not in his prime by any means. It was not an ideal place to be, but we had a great time, had a great Saturday, had a great Sunday, and get ready for week 12 of college football. I'm just shocked it's flown by this fast.
I like you threw out club level. We've actually had that conversation, guys. Depending on the stadium, club level matters in different importance. Some of it's only a little bit better. Some of it's actually worth the extra money. But Kelly, you think Heinz Field is one where it's worth it?
Oh, Heinz Field was absolutely gorgeous. When you walk in, there's basically the pillars are Lombardi trophies. And so it was kind of one of those stadiums I'd wanted to go to for a long time. But yes, when it's cold and rainy and the lines are short, for the bathroom, for beer, for food, whatever it is. Plus, you got other games on the TV. You have access to charge your phone so you can check scores, make some halftime bets. You know, it definitely matters. CT and I set club level at Florida, Georgia, and I thought it was going to be because we were so hot that we wanted to go down and check out club level, and we didn't even access it. It was pretty funny. So you're right. Sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's not.
Okay, in the Steelers tie out of the Survivor contest, were you involved in that?
So it depends on each basically contest. I had played the Steelers in one where the tie counted as a loss, and you just have to read the rules. I actually have one Steelers that I thought I was out of. The pick has to be in by Friday at midnight, so I couldn't change it either. Said, okay, well, great, I'm out of two of these. And sure enough, the tie apparently still survive and advance in one. So there's 11 of us left. And another big money league that I'm in. And then luckily I had two on Office Football Pool where I was able to change out of it. Kind of had a feeling when we saw that line drop, obviously no Big Ben, that maybe there were some better spots to play the Steelers. We'll see how it goes. There's 26 in one of them left, and I think 31 in the other. So hopefully I can win one of them. Sucks to be out of the big money one for $6 million, though.
Yeah, that's always a tough one. And Kelly, I know CT Bet's got to get after it with you. Baylor, Kansas State, we get KSU. What pick'em price? 50 the total. We got our two Big 12 alumni going at it this weekend. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I'm
This is
excited. I think this is going to be a big one. I asked Chris, I said, what's our side bet? And he goes, you're going to find out on the show. So I guess I'll let Chris have the floor because I have no idea what this is going to be.
So So I've been waiting all week to tell you guys this one because this is going to crack the two of you up. So before we dive into the Baylor K-State game, as you guys know, Trig and I went to the Patriots game this past Sunday, and we're tailgating with a couple of friends, and Trig's girlfriend is there, and they're having a conversation. And Trig's girlfriend asked Trig a question about gambling. Can't remember exactly what it was. She asked him the question. I'm kind of talking to my wife from about 5 feet away. I could hear it going on. And she asked him the question, and Trig goes, well, Mallory, you see. And she goes, nope, stop right now. I don't want to hear your explanation. Shut up. Me and my wife start dying laughing. I'm like, I already like this girl. I like her 1,000 times more. She just told him to shut up. That's what I do every day when he talks too much. Shut up. You're giving me a headache. Kellyanne, I am not the only one he gives a headache to. How insane is that?
Oh my! I'm surprised you didn't put the story in the group chat and just absolutely slaughter Trig, or maybe you did and I was just way too drunk in Pittsburgh and missed it. But that is freaking hilarious.
She's a great girl. We had a good time, and I thought that was hilarious. So I thought I'd wait to share it, and I thought the viewers would like that little chatter and feel like they're inside the
If you buy Trig's plays, you know that you're going to get like 45 paragraphs in regards to it. And my favorite was Dave Koken, because we do a show with Dave Koken, and Dave, who's been doing this for over my whole life, goes, Adam, nobody reads those write-ups, right? And it was really funny because
not true.
Adam sticks by the fact that his clientele loves his write-ups. Apparently, not even his girlfriend loves those write-ups.
Listen, I get compliments on the write-ups. I'm sure there's people that just never read them, but I don't know. I feel like you're going to pay for plays. You deserve to get the full analysis. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
Fair enough. We love you anyways, but we're going to dive into this game here. This is a game that Kelly and I have bet against each other for probably 5-6 years. We bet a steak dinner every year. It's probably been split over the years. No one's has really cashed in on it, but I have a really good idea for this weekend. I hate this game for Baylor. I hate this spot. I think it's an awful spot for them. I actually like K-State. I'm going to be rooting for Baylor. Not going to bet the game except for this bet that we're going to make right now. We got the Hustle crew, and plus a few of our other friends, the Queen, Uncle Benny, Joe. We're going out to Vegas first weekend of March Madness. So here's my proposal to you, KIV. This game, Saturday, Baylor versus K-State, is going to be dinner on the loser for the Hustle crew, UB, Joe, and the Queen, and any significant others that come.
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick the restaurant now because you got to pick the bet. We're gonna go to Barry's Steakhouse and we're gonna get the private dining room.
Done. I'm in.
Okay.
I'm in.
And Cal's gonna order for everyone.
Yeah.
Regardless if I'm paying or if Chris is paying, I will order for everyone. That's how this works.
Yeah.
That's what I did. We went to a steakhouse for Marco's birthday. I just ordered basically for everybody and said, don't worry, I'll pick up the check. But listen, I don't mean to be an asshole when I order for everybody. It's because I just want to try all the things. So I just try to get everybody on board. And then there's just all the food that I could ever want on the menu. And I don't have to eat it all by myself.
I like it when you do that because I don't have to think, and it's perfect. Everything just shows up, the wine, the food, and it's always good. So that's perfect. We're doing that, Drew Martin bets. Write that down. I'll have Walrus write that down. That's our bet. K-State versus Baylor. I like K-State. I'll be rooting for Baylor.
I don't really like K-State for a $4,000 dinner, but here we go. Because I can tell you right now that many people is going to be pretty pricey, plus booze and everything else. Hopefully it doesn't end up like the last time we had steak dinner in Vegas after March Madness, because that was a pretty sad sight to see on that Sunday evening.
That was the most miserable good dinner I've ever been at in my entire life. Like everyone was miserable.
I basically told John Murray that the Westgate needed to give us a car because we were so broke after that Sunday. We had the best Friday, the best Saturday, and then we gave it all back on Sunday. That sucked really bad. I think Trig picked up that tab. I think I walked out in the middle of dinner. I think I ate 2 bites of my steak and I just had to go home because I was physically ill. There was just a lot of bad bets made that day. Too much booze drank over the weekend. What can I say?
Yeah, I was the sober one there. I came later, guys. I didn't actually eat, and that was a heck of a scene. I forget what the place was called, but you walk in there. It's a nice restaurant.
We're at Del Frisco's by the Westgate, and because it was just we were gonna basically just walk there because I couldn't get an Uber. I remember standing in the Westgate Valet, and finally John Murray's like, "Let me get you a house car. Everybody, calm down. You don't have to walk." It was quite the scene.
That was a heck of a scene. I walk in there sober. I just look around, and these guys have had these guys and girls have had a heck of a day. There was a lot of drinking involved. You could see it on their faces, and I just ordered a double jack on the rocks on Trig's tab. I appreciate that, Trig, and I didn't get anywhere near the level that they were at, but it was a lot of fun. And even though it was a kind of a rough day betting wise for pretty much the whole crew there, but just the particulars here: Baylor, Kansas State. Do you guys bet straight up? I mean, I guess you can on this one. It's pick 'em -1.
I mean, we usually do bet straight up, no matter what the spread is. If it's in her favor or my favor, we bet straight up. And obviously, it's a pick now, right before we went on show. So straight up, Kellyanne.
Yeah, absolutely. Look. I definitely am very apprehensive about my Kansas State Wildcats. They have shown several. What's a good statement to make? They've shown several blunders this year offensively. Skylar Thompson is healthy. They've been playing a lot better football. Obviously, Baylor coming off that huge emotional win. I hope K-State can capitalize, especially at home. But Baylor and K-State have had a really interesting rivalry over the years because K-State absolutely owned Baylor forever, even with RG3. And then the year K-State should have went to the national championship game, lost as 13-point underdogs in Waco. Glad this game's in Manhattan. Otherwise, I would not be very excited about it.
Yeah, can't wait for this one, and especially knowing that the dinner bet is on the table between KIV and CT bets. We do have Wally's Corner coming up, guys.
I hope I have lots of casino points because I'm going to probably need it for that night. Maybe I get a comp or something because I feel like Chris does. I got to cheer for my team. I don't think I can actually bet this game. I guess what we could do would be an emotional hedge, if you will. You just bet half of what you were going to bet on the other side, and then it doesn't really matter. But we'll see how it plays out here.
Yeah, it plays out.
Okay, I know Trig was going to get after this, but did you want to throw out any info for the weekend before we get to Wally's Corner?
Yeah, real quick. So I've got a couple of different plays. I know Trig had said that they have been doing really well, so we're going to keep it rolling. Nebraska +9 was 9.5, got played. I really like Nebraska in this spot. It's probably going to make my 3-team moneyline parlay. Navy +4 is another one. UAB +4.5. Sure looks like a big trap game this week. Total sandwich spot for the Auburn Tigers with Bama on deck. South Carolina +7.5 is probably also going to make my parlay. And a real tricky one here, West Virginia -3. Kind of going to be interesting to see how Texas bounces back after that KU loss. West Virginia didn't look that great in Manhattan until mid-third quarter last week where they had a shot with the back door open and blew it. But Mountaineers, you mentioned weather when we did every game on the board. Pittsburgh should be nice this weekend, but Morgantown very close to that. Never know when you might get some sneaky, nasty weather there in the upper Midwest corner.
I like that Conference USA shout out, Kelly. UAB, the Blazers, stepping up in front of UTSA, one of only 3 teams left that are undefeated, right?
Oh, UTSA, the best team out of the state of Texas. You want to step in front of them? I really don't want to, but UAB that line looks so short. It looks like, come on, guys, just bet the best team out of Texas. Just got to lay 4.5, no big deal. And look, they could keep playing like they've been playing, but it's going to be a really interesting matchup there. I don't know that much about the Conference USA. I've been on UTEP a couple of times this year. I know that UAB is going to give them the best game that they can. That's for sure. It's hard to stay undefeated, especially some of those smaller schools. You got to make sure your team is really focused.
Yeah, that's a good look there, Kelly. UAB's got some big boys up front, well coached under Bill Clark, so UTSA better come to play. Or you're right, they might get knocked off here and be shown their first loss of the season. We do have Wally's Corner coming up. CT Bets, throw it over to you. Did the Walrus get back to you?
Yeah, finally, Walrus just cuts it close every single week, but he makes it in time somehow. Kelly and I have been having a little talk with him, and we're going to get his
about
ass
his time
in
management
here.
skills, CT. About how he
Yes.
fails to have time management. I actually tweeted that earlier thinking he would laugh, but he did not. I tweeted that to Drew because I totally dropped the ball earlier with that. And I said, well, I got my time management skills from the Walrus, and no comment back from him.
He was up early today. I was talking to him. He must have taken a nap.
He's trying to get up earlier. He's trying his best. We love him. He's a great kid, and he does, like I say every week, he does a lot for this show, behind the scenes, on the scenes. So we appreciate him.
Yeah,
he
CT,
gave us,
he's doing all the merch stuff. We all got the merch on, but you have a new hoodie on today.
I got a new hoodie on. Do the hula. You could get this on our merch store. Has the Hustle logo on the back. Do the hula on the front. I didn't want to do the hula today because I finally lost the best bet, but hope to be doing the hula next week when we start this show. We're going to head to Wally's Corner. Trig, give us the record that Wally went last week again and his up-to-date record before I dive into it.
Yep, Walrus 3-1-1 on the official grading by me last week, which brings him to 45-29-3 on the season. The Walrus has been awesome. Hopefully another winning week this week.
All right, and actually, Drew Martin Betts, as I looked over this briefly before we went on, like I said, he only gives me about 5 minutes before we go live. He's got one going. He's given us 2 college, 4 NFL. He's got a college game going tonight, Drew Martin Betts. Central Michigan at Ball State. They took Central Michigan. They bet +3 all the way down to -1.5. He noted in here it's at -2.5 right now. Everybody might be late to the party, but he says it's probably still good. They like Central Michigan tonight. Big time sharps came in. I heard one of our mutual friends came in and laid a big bet on Central Michigan tonight. So I hopped on for a couple of shekels. That's the first one. Second one in college is Wyoming at Utah State. They bet Wyoming +7 all the way down to +6 and +5.5. Wyoming at Utah State. That game is Saturday. Right off to the NFL here. Patriots at Falcons, Thursday night football. This number opened up. Patriots -4. Sharps bet on -4 all the way up to -6.5. He said it's very important to note here, sharp money came back on the other side. Sharps took the Falcons at +7. So maybe looking for a little bit of a middle there. That game is tomorrow night. Sticking in the NFL, they bet the Washington football team. They bet +3.5. all the way down +3, all the way down to +3.5. I think it sits at -120. Even money at +3 right now. They bet the team. Packers at Vikings. They bet the Vikings. They bet them at +2.5. Sits at 2 now. I not seen any more 2.5s. Looks like it might be 2 across the board. That's a game I like as well. The Vikings. And the last one staying in the NFL. Cardinals at the Seattle Seahawks. They bet the Seahorses, I call them. They bet +3 all the way down to +2.5 where it sits right now. No, we have some quarterback issues there for the Arizona Cardinals, so they are taking Pete Carroll's team at home there. That is Wally's Corner. Drew Martin Betts, 2 college, 4 NFL. He's been hot. Let's go, Wally. Stay hot, baby.
CT, while Drew unmutes himself, I got a quick question for you. CT, I just want to ask Chris a quick question for our viewers. Would you just moneyline Central Michigan in this spot and just tailor your bet a little as opposed to lay the 2.5?
I mean, I got to be honest. I looked at this about 2 minutes before we came on the show. I don't even know what the money line is, and I really don't know too much about that game. I know Drew Martin Betts kind of tends to be a MAC specialist a little bit, so might be a better question for him, Drew. Do you know anything about
I was going to say, I just think if it's -150 or lower, and they took a plus number, and now it's up to -2.5, just tailor your bet a little bit and bet the money line.
And we're even starting to see 3. Sorry to interrupt, Trey, but I think at 3, I think you're way too late to the party here.
Yeah, I would agree. It's 2.5 or nothing for me, and that game goes in 9 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, that would concern me. I'm seeing -135. Sorry, Drew, go ahead.
No, it's okay, Kelly. I like the Chippewas. I mean, but you're right. I mean, betting numbers here is the name of the game. Getting good numbers, and if we're already seeing 3, that is a different bet than earlier in the week. So you got to keep that in mind, guys. But yeah, that game goes off at 7:00 Eastern, and Heck, guys, I think that does it. Do we got any final thoughts here, CT Bets?
Final thoughts is, we got Kellyanne and the Walrus bringing up the caboose last week, so that was good. The three of us fell a little bit short on our best bets. We're going to get back on track this week. I feel really confident about my best bet, Drew. So let's dive right into it. Let the Queen lead us off here.
I guess you can follow her on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. Kelly Stewart, the Queen. She's going by now. Best bets.
Nah, he's just saying that. That Ariel's actually the Queen. I'll just be, I don't know what I'm going to be. I haven't decided yet. That being said, I'm going to go back to the well with the Vikings this week. I like the Vikings a lot. Coach Zimmer and this team have been playing a lot better. And now you have a very overhyped Green Bay team. 9-0 against the spread in their last 9 games since losing that opening week to the Saints. Now, no disrespect to Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league. But this is still this Vikings defense. This is still one of the teams with one of the best home field advantages in the NFL. I don't think a lot of people realize this. In Minnesota, we're in a dome. It's loud. They get the horn going. And this is something I really think started to hurt certain teams last year with no fans in the stands. And this is something that we're starting to see with Minnesota at home. Again, Coach Zimmer, one of the best ATS coaches as an underdog in the NFL, even though we didn't really see that last season. I'm now really starting to feel confident in my analysis that it was because they didn't have any fans there. This is a divisional spot. You guys know I love those divisional home dogs. I've got Minnesota in a teaser. I've got Minnesota plus 2.5. As Chris said, it is now 2. You can still tease it even at 1.5. But also, I like a little bit on that money line. I think this is going to be one of those knockout, drag-out type games that the Vikings end up on top.
I like it. Kelly Stewart on Twitter at Kelly in Vegas. Trig, do you got a best bet for us, buddy?
I do, and I like it even more now because it popped up in Wally's corner. I'm going with the football team. Drew, what are the Panthers doing? Why are they starting Cam? Obviously I like this because I think they're going to start Cam Newton this week, but what are they doing starting Cam Newton? PJ Walker's the better quarterback there. He went 22 of 29. He was pretty much the reason they won that game. Cam Newton comes in, plays 8 snaps, happens to get in the end zone. Now he's the starter. I can't believe they're going to start him against Ron Rivera, who knows him better than anyone. The football team, I was so high on this team coming into the season. They finally played the way I thought they were going to play all season last week. They buried the defending champs. They looked awesome. Normally, I'd be worried about a letdown, but I just think it's ridiculous that they're an underdog against the Panthers. 3.5, and I saw that right before the show. So the Sharps are taking 3.5. You can still get that right now. I think the football team win this game. If Newton is under center on Sunday, this will easily be my best NFL bet of the week. I absolutely love the football team in this spot. Think they win it outright.
Okay, Washington football team. Guys, I'm going to SMU Cincinnati, and I like the dog here, the Mustangs. Plus 12 is out there in the marketplace, 11.5 being widely available. SMU, I think they're a well-coached team, both Sonny Dykes and defensive coordinator Levitt. Plus Cincinnati, I think their time's kind of running up here. Bet against them with USF last week, comfortably within that number. SMU, again, sprinkle a little bit on the money line, plus 350. For SMU to go into Cincinnati, but for record-keeping purposes, on SMU plus 12 for my best bet. And last, certainly not least here, CT Bets. Take it away, buddy.
Yeah, Drew Martin, we just got a live text here from the Walrus. He's listening in. He wanted me to let the audience know that minus 2.5 on that Chippewa game. Take the minus 2.5. Do not lay the money line. Minus 2.5, he says, is the better bet. I agree with him. I just didn't want to tell Trig that he was wrong when we were live on the show, but you're wrong. All right, Drew Martin, bets. I'm going to the NFL here for my best bet. Arizona Cardinals, tough loss last week at Seattle Seahawks. This is a game where I talked to the actual Queen on Monday night on the phone. We were kind of going over some early stuff of what we liked. We both said we liked Seattle at plus 3. We both fired it in, and that line has dropped a little bit to 2.5. I like the Seattle Seahorses this weekend. Geno Smith was an absolute moneymaker for the Horsies. He was 3-0 against the spread. Russell Wilson comes back last week, has a poor game, losing to the Packers 13-0. I don't think that one game from Russ is enough for me to write Pete Carroll's squad off this weekend. Seattle is somehow still alive in the wild card spot. They're desperate for a win. Kyler Murray still banged up. Not sure if he's going to go. Not even sure if Colt McCoy is going to go. I still like the Horsies, Drew Martin bets. If Kyler Murray goes, this is the perfect spot for Pete Carroll at home to get that much-needed back against the wall win. Russell Wilson and Lockett will be back dialed in. Give me the Horsies and the points. Give me the money line. I'll be doing the hula. Let's go Horsies.
Oh, I can't wait for the hula
Horsey.
dance. Hopefully this comes through. If CT Bets is hit. Guys, remember we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Our belief is to live long, live well, and live it up. Viva up for CT Bets, Adam, Trigger, Kelly in Vegas. Shout out to the chat box, guys. Everybody joining us live. Eric, Paco, Pat Wall. We got Nathan in the house. Ski Prophet, all of you guys. Abby Jackson, thanks for joining us live. If you got any questions, comments, feel free below on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Please comment below. Any questions, we'll answer them on next week's show, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, Apple Podcast, The Hustle Show Pod. Guys, peace out. Best of luck with your bets.